She thought this hearing would be about military readiness, but what happened next left the room stunned. A sitting secretary openly dismissed decorated service members, and the fallout was immediate.
Thank you. Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes a gentlelady from California, Ms. Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of our witnesses for being here. Secretary Hegseth, as you probably know, today is National Women's Veterans Day, and in your confirmation hearing and in subsequent conversations, you've said, and I'm quoting you now, women in our military have and continue to make amazing contributions across all aspects of our battlefield, and that women were some of the best soldiers you served with. Do you still stand by those statements?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. As you probably know, I represent San Diego, the biggest military community in the country, so I meet with countless service members all the time. And with your focus on emphasis and on merit and standards, I wanted to tell you about 3 incredible women in our military. So the first woman is a major responsible for advanced collective warfighting training. Her officer evaluation report rates her as most qualified. And some of the comments included are, and I'm quoting now, "She lives the Army values and demonstrates the warrior ethos daily. She rates within the top 5% of officers I've encountered in 18 years of military service." The second woman is an aviator with a record of over 50 combat missions, including deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. 2 quotes from her most recent fitness report in April include, quoting again, "People excel under her leadership, and she has my strongest possible recommendation for promotion." The third woman is an instructor for an Army ROTC battalion. According to her evaluation report, her overall performance was rated at far exceeds standards, and the comments include, "She is undoubtedly within the top 5% of non-commissioned officers I've worked with in my 22 years of service." Given their stellar qualifications and accomplishments and their record of surpassing standards, I assume that you agree that the Pentagon and the services should do everything they can to retain women like these, correct?
I would commend the major, the aviator, and the instructor for their service.
Great. I'm glad you agree, because I also believe we should be recruiting and retaining the very best and brightest in our country to serve in the military. And yet, you are actually kicking out these 3 highly qualified service members solely because of their identity. These are trans women. And you are using the very same arguments that have been used against desegregating the military or allowing women to serve or allowing gay people to serve. And in all those cases, those arguments were wrong. So I think it's clear that this is actually not about standards or, and I'm quoting you again, an equal, unwavering, gender-neutral, merit-based system, because if it were, you would be keeping these women in. Instead, you are the one injecting culture wars into the military, and it's at the detriment of our military readiness and national security. Now, General Kane, I'd like to turn to you.
So to be clear, these are men who think they're women.
These are women. I'm happy to educate you on
But these are men.
on trans issues at another
what we've
time.
identified is that there's mental health issues with that belief system.
I'd like to turn to General
are
Kane
detrimental
now.
to readiness, and that's the determination that we've made and that we stand behind. Gender dysphoria.
And so you
creates complications.
you don't trust your commanding officers to be able to evaluate the people under them to decide if that were true. Wouldn't that show up in their fit reps? And yet these fit reps are from the last 3 months, and all of their commanding officers say that they exceed standards. I'm turning to General Kane now. General Kane, I'd like to touch on something you said yesterday before the Senate Appropriations Committee. When asked whether the United States is under a foreign invasion, you said, "At this point in time, I don't see any foreign state-sponsored folks invading." Despite that testimony, 2,000 National Guard troops have been federalized and deployed to Los Angeles, and 700 Marines from my community of Southern California are now on the ground there as well. And on Tuesday, President Trump, flanked by hundreds of uniformed troops, said they are there, said this is the reason they are there. They are there, I'm quoting now. "Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by an invasion." General, have you personally informed the President that according to your own assessment, there is no invasion?
Ma'am, first, the definition of an invasion, whether or not that's a policy, that's really a policy decision. And, from a military-only perspective, I, stand by what I said yesterday. But, my advice to the President in any particular matter from a security standpoint, or for the Secretary for that matter, I keep that between them.
I understand that, but the highest-ranking military advisor in the country does not believe there's an invasion, and yet the President of the United States is federalizing the National Guard and
Gentlelady's time's expired.
in the name of an
Gentlelady's time's expired.
This exchange wasn't just tense, it was revealing. Representative Sara Jacobs methodically laid out undeniable proof: elite service records, top-tier evaluations, combat experience, and leadership excellence. Yet none of it mattered once identity entered the conversation. Pete Hegseth didn't challenge their performance, he didn't dispute their readiness. Instead, he pivoted, labeling transgender identity itself as a mental health issue, dismissing the judgment of commanding officers, and reducing years of service to culture war talking points. What made this moment explosive wasn't just the rhetoric, it was the contradiction. A Pentagon that claims to value merit while overriding the very evaluations designed to measure it. A military leadership structure trusted in combat, but suddenly untrusted when inclusion is involved. And just when the hearing seemed fully exposed, Jacobs widened the lens, confronting the disconnect between military reality and political narrative, as top generals contradicted claims of a so-called invasion used to justify troop deployments. This wasn't chaos, it was clarity, and the record now speaks for itself.